It's been now over a week. I have been involved in the global March to Gaza movement in any way my heart was calling me to. And not for any other reason, but just for embodying, I guess, personally, a sense of acting responsibly. So I want to speak a little bit about all that's unfolding in our world right now, and maybe articulate with hopefully some clarity what we as humanity are called to do right now. It is clear in my own eyes that the rising of the people is happening, that the efforts from the Global March to Gaza involvement people is mobilizing and awakening the heart of humanity. And although the deep state of oppression and the regime of colonialism is so deeply in our historical times, and it's probably quite obvious that one of the very things that we would do well not to do is to engage in hatred speech and even more divisive narratives. But for me, it goes much deeper than that very basic and evident thing. It goes to the root of all things, of what it means to be human and more than human. It goes to the root of what it truly feels to be united. Okay, I could call upon the messages of a lot of religions, and from Christianity to Islam, with the messages, but I don't want to go there, because at least personally, my contribution is cleared in awakening the parts in you, in us, and continuously in me, that are not engaging in division. And by that I mean that one of the ways that we can perhaps crack the mask of settled oppression is by resisting to fall under its prayed claws. And that is taking the whole movement of breaking and cracking at the oppressive regime at a much deeper level, in a more internal awakening journey, in a more embodied way. Okay, so to have somebody displaying colonial behaviors is easy, but to actually embody the peace and the love and the unity that we want to engage in the world, it's a much deeper undertaking. So it requires artistic skill. Okay. Artistic skill and a lot of inner work. It's almost like we're called more than ever to become the alchemists that are also recorded in history, to become true alchemists. Not dividing, alchemizing our pain, alchemizing our fears, and returning it all back to what we are, which is this undivided heart. So an invitation, for example, as an example right now, is as you're listening to this video and as you're listening to me talk, I want you to notice what narratives pass through you. There may be narratives of love or narratives of something else that doesn't belong to a loving paradigm. Yeah. The way that we divide can be very subtle, through comparison, through division, through othering, through you are better, I'm worse, or I am better and you're worse. There is a part in you that can observe these polarities. So my mission, I guess, as a as a human, I resist calling myself spiritual teacher because I cringe at that, because we've had enough of that in our history. We don't need any more teachers. We need more humility to cultivate in our hearts and bodies, to own what we know and what we don't know, to own our pain, to reach out, not for any other reason, but for reaching out to another brother and sister. So how do we dismantle the paradigm of arrogance, the paradigm of pride? Because we all have this. And unless we collectively, in like the shoulders of the Atlas, hold our own earth on our shoulders, we cannot break through. I wrote a poem the other day that I named Crack and Crown, and I feel humanity is at this point at the moment. We are really, truly invited to crown through our own rebirth. And this is a feeling you may have, and it's a feeling that we're all feeling on a collective scale. It's a global awakening of the heart. So it's your choice. You have free will. But truth rings and resonates like a tuning fork. Yeah, and we arrive at this place not by bypassing the shadows, but the reverse, at least in my story, composting them back and turning the poison of our egoic tendencies into the truth that we are, the truth that we are. So how you do that, it's your call, it's your dharma to figure out. There's something in you that knows the truth of these words. Because you grieve. Because every time you deviate from your heart, you know it, and manifests as guilt or as shame. Not healthy, constructive ways, but it's a pointer back to the innate innocence in you. It's a pointer back to your clean conscience. So welcome it all. Welcome it all in this guest house. This is the only way that together we are going to turn this shit show that we are very familiar in our historic times, but to which you have the capacity and the potency and the will to become an ambassador. And watch the place this ambassador is emerging from. Because everything is holy, of course. Everything is love. But it requires fierce discernment. If you act, know the place from which you're acting. If you don't act, know the place from which you're not acting. And trust that. Trust that place fiercely. Trust that discernment in you. Be well. Keep well. If you cry, cry well. Grieve well. If you feel the rage, allow it to burn you to ashes and let it metabolize and compost in you into the passion that wants to flesh through your veins. And it might lead to some action. You never know. But don't divide. Do not react on your rage. Welcome it as a teacher, but knowing that you are in charge of your own energy. So let it be here and let it transform you into passionate love and passionate act and passionate living.